All right, everyone. Unhappy Wednesday to all of you. Thank you for joining in from wherever you may be. This is the Unhappy Gilmore Show, part of the Green Legion Radio family. I am your host for the next hour ish. So pull up a chair. Let's have some fun as we close out day 3 of this week's hostage situation and look forward to tomorrow, Friday Eve. I can tell you, if I could do this show while I was walking around outside in this weather, that is definitely where I would be. Or if I could do it from like the pool and my pool and, not gross all of you out, that's definitely where I would be. But be that as it may, we're going to be here and, yeah, we'll have a little fun for a little bit and then we'll sign off and leave you to your thoughts. So, again, weather, beautiful here. I had a whole thing I wanted to talk about today, and I had written it all up and everything. I just usually write down some notes and then kind of just let it go organic from there and talk from there. But had it all kind of mapped out the way I wanted it, and then the Major League Baseball schedule for next year dropped. So, and not that I'm going to go too crazy on that right now, but I'm going to drop a few things for you, especially you guys. I know most of the crew is your Philadelphia fan base, so I want to make sure I get the Phillies prime dates out there for you um, when we get to that. But before we get to any of that, I did want to bring up the passing today of Len Dawson, 87 years old. Actually, and what I didn't know, he was born here in Ohio, in Alliance, Ohio, which ironically is just east of Canton, Ohio, which is where the NFL Hall of Fame is. Went to Purdue over Ohio State. That's where he actually the first time he met Hank Stram. Stram was an assistant coach on the Purdue coaching staff when Len went there. Very successful college career. What did I have written down here? Yeah, led the NCAA in efficiency as a sophomore. Led the Big Ten in passing yards every year he was there, all 3 years. He was an All American third team in 1956, All Big Ten in 55 and 56. So, excellent college career, led to the number 5 overall pick by the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it didn't work out. The draft, the Steelers ended up drafting future Hall of Famer Bobby Lane the following year. And they trade Dawson to the Browns. New Year's Eve, ironically. I wrote that down. I thought that was interesting. Trade him on New Year's Eve to the Browns. He ends up having the same issues competing against quarterback Milt Plum, which led to his release. And at this point, he's been in the league for 5 years. He has completed 21 passes for 204 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's a nobody. Then he signs with the Dallas Texans in 1962. No, not the Dallas Cowboys, guys. The Dallas Texans, okay? And I get it. Dallas sucks. But this is the team that would eventually move to Kansas City and become the Chiefs. And from there, history is what it is. Len Dawson, he leads the league in touchdowns and yards per attempt en route to AFL MVP in 1962. Team moves to Kansas City in 1963 and becomes the Chiefs. He has 4 AFL passing titles, 6-time AFL All-Star, and he was the MVP of Super Bowl 4, where they beat the Minnesota Vikings 23-7. So, story career. And then we all know what he did after that, right? The broadcasting, he ended up inside the NFL. 87 years old, a life well lived. We've lost a lot of legends lately, right? You had Bill Russell and, and Len Dawson now. So it's been an up and down for the sports world, especially with some of these older legends. But I wanted to touch on that before we talked about anything else. And generally speaking, that's something I'll probably do anytime that we have anytime there's a death and a big name death in the sports world, we'll talk about him or her for a few before we move on to more fun stuff and more uplifting stuff. Again, like I was telling before, if I could do this show outside right now, I definitely would. The weather's supposed to stay this way pretty much right through the weekend. So I'm looking forward to being outside a bunch. hopefully the kids stay healthy. Last weekend we had tried to do the cook off, or not the cook off. Sorry, we were going to do the outdoor movie, and then I come home from work where I had some stuff ready to make s'mores, and my oldest had come down with a cold. He wasn't doing too great, and then baby girl said her stomach hurt, and we had to scrap it. And then by the time Saturday night came, there were storms in the area. The wind was a little high. I don't really like lighting a fire in a fire pit out there with other houses, close enough by to where a wind can cause a problem. So we had to scrap it again. But once again, weather looking strong for the weekend. And I keep telling these kiddos, there's only so many of these left before the weather turns and it starts to get chilly. And you're not going to want to be out there. So we're hoping to take advantage of it this weekend. I know for sure we will be in the pool. I plan to spend a lot of time outside. Pretty sure tomorrow night my oldest and I are going to have to go cut a lady's grass. She pays my son, it's about $35 a week to come cut and trim, and I help him with it because it's almost a half an acre, and he's got to cut it all. It's a little bit hilly, and then the trim with the weed eater, he's not real good with it yet, so I try to give him a hand with that. But he actually brought home a pamphlet from there was an Army recruiter at his high school today, and he took the opportunity to go speak with the man about what he may need to do to enlist. So there's some details there. I was proud of him. He's normally not the type that gets a little gun shy and skittish in those situations, so it gets a little tough for him. But I was proud of him for that. I know his friend Aiden, who has come in here and talked to us a few times in the chat room. He actually the Fairfield High School football team won their game 42-21. It's their first game last Thursday. Felt it was a little odd that varsity was playing Thursday night, but whatever. But I get Aiden is the kicker on that team, and according to my son, his buddy Aiden made both of his field goal attempts and a number of extra points. So good job, Aiden, if you're out there listening. And nice job to the Fairfield football team. I know my son was pretty pumped up about it, even though he doesn't play on the team. He's got some buddies who do, so he was happy about it. That's pretty much what's been going on here. Like I said, I wanted to touch on the Len Dawson thing. We'll go ahead and dive right into the baseball schedule. Let me pull some things up on my phone here. It took a little longer for the schedule to come out this year than it did last year. About 3 weeks. Last year was right around the beginning of August. This year, here we are, third week. And I feel that's probably got a lot to do with the fact that the schedule structure itself has changed a bunch. I'm sure a lot of you have already looked into it. You've already seen the changes that are going to be made next year as far as who you're playing against. So I'm going to pull that up. Let me see if I can just find. Oh, you know who posted it? Ashley had that earlier. She put up a good post. Had just the bullet points there. So let's see, Ashley and Italiana. And I was gonna. So Chuck Bolger, he mentioned maybe I should reach out to Luis Dominguez to get him to come on here tonight. Because he's down there in Miami and the Eagles are down there having joint practice with the Dolphins. I'm pretty sure Green Legion Radio intends to do that sort of thing tomorrow night, and I don't want to steal their thunder here on Wednesdays. So that'll be something that they'll do with Ashley and or Lewis tomorrow night too. So you can look forward to that. So yeah, here we go. The new balance of the schedule. So you're gonna play 52 games inside of your division. That's decreased from 76. You're going to play 64 games inside the American, so for me and being a Yankees fan, we're going to play 64 games against other teams in the American League. So for your Philly fans, it'd be in the National League. And then you're going to play 46 games, interleague games, which is increased from 20. So what they've done is they set it up to where every team is going to play every team this year. I don't, and Chris Sack and I kind of both commented on what Ashley had said earlier. She asked how how a few of us felt about it, and I look, I think, and Chris touched on this. Your first goal is to win your division, then your league, then the World Series, right? I mean that's the tier. The ultimate goal is the World Series, of course, but you have to do these other things to get there. So your first thing you're judged against is your division. Kind of feel like there should still be a good emphasis on games in your division. I think there needs to be more. I understand decreasing it some because I think playing against teams in your division 19 times is a little too much. But to drop it 24 games overall, it's a lot. So I think you're only going to play your division teams like 12 or 13 times now. Intra league, which would be the inside of your American or National League. So if you were going to decrease the division games, I would like to see more of it spread out inside of your own league before it ends up being, heavy towards interleague. And I know that Major League Baseball is just trying to generate more buzz, and they've got stars playing on teams that people don't see all the time. But this feels a little odd. It feels right. When interleague started back in the '90s, and I told Chris this, I focus more on the intercity or interstate rivals, and that's mostly because where I grew up, you had the Yankees and the Mets, and I remember the buzz around the Yankees Mets series back then. It was huge. They never played each other in the regular season. They would play each other in the preseason, and when you did this President's Trophy or Governor's Cup thing, but never during the regular season, obviously, because they were in separate leagues. When now interleague comes in, they're going to play each other. But now from there, they've had it to where they play each other every year, and that it's lost some punch. Okay, that whole Subway series. Baseball tries real hard to hype it up. ESPN tries. Of course, ESPN's a bunch of tryhards, anyways. They're always trying to hype it up, but I just feel like every single season with that sort of thing, it's taken some of the punch out of the anticipation, out of the excitement of it. I really would have preferred to see interleague play with baseball just be, like how football is, where you rotate what division your division plays against, right? So like this year, we're playing against, so 1 year we'll play against the AFC East, 1 year we'll play against the AFC Central, and so on and so forth. I mean, baseball can do the same thing. And still have a good number of interleague games. But they've chosen not to do that. They're going to have everybody play everybody, whether it's home or away. Um, so I don't know. We'll see how that works out. I'm not really a huge fan of it. I just, like I said, if you were going to decrease the number of division games, I'm with you a little bit. But then I would rather see that decrease division games go dispersed amongst your league, right? So if I'm only going to play if the Yankees are only going to play the Red Sox, the Orioles, the Blue Jays, and the Rays 12 times, which would be a little ridiculous, but let's just say that for the sake of argument, then I want those extra games to be against Houston or Minnesota or whatever. And same thing for the Phils. You'd want those extra games instead of being against the Mets, the Braves, the Nationals, and the Marlins. You want those games to be against, the Cardinals and the Dodgers and the Padres and things like that. There is a part of me that understands what they're trying to do. So I think what they're trying to do is they're just trying to generate some buzz, right? They're trying to get. Nobody ever sees Mike Trout. Nobody ever sees Shohei Ohtani, right? They're out there in Anaheim, and you don't see them unless they come to your city, right? Because baseball doesn't do a very good job of marketing and pushing their stars. So while they're tweaking the schedule, I kind of get what they're trying to do. I'm not a huge fan of it. I honestly think what they should be doing is instead of concentrating on the schedule so much, create more events. Right? Like I love the Field of Dreams game. The Little League World Series game is fun. And your Phillies are going to play there next. Are going to play that Little League World Series game next year against the Nationals on August 20th, Sunday, August 20th. But, more events like that where you have, and I don't know what you got to do. So the movie The Sandlot was filmed, the actual Sandlot that they used is just in this little neighborhood. I don't know what they can do about that. I do know that when I was in Kansas City, we drove past Satchel Paige Field, and it's beat up, it's run down and everything. But that could be a cool idea. I just think that there's more stuff like that you can do to generate buzz. Have events rather than just concentrating on spreading out the schedule so much, and see what kind of buzz that can garner you. But this is the way they're going for now. So, I mean, we'll deal with the schedule as it is, and we'll go from there. I don't know where the hell everybody is tonight. I got a blank audience here. It's a little depressing. So I'm just going to keep going on about my thing. If nobody comes in and adds any content, then this is going to be a pretty short show, y'all. So anyways, but for your Phillies, so some key dates, right? One thing, the Field of Dreams game, in case any of you guys didn't know, is not going to be played this in 2023. They're apparently doing some sort of construction. I've not looked enough into the details, so I don't know exactly what is called, what construction could be delaying it a year out, but that's what they've said. So the Little League, like I said, the Phillies will play the Nationals on Sunday, August 20th at the Little League World Series game next year. That should be fun. That will be a Nationals home game, so that's a Phillies away. You will open your season in Texas on March 30th. You'll play a series there. Then you're going to head to the Bronx and take on the Yankees from April 3rd through April 5th before heading home for your Citizens Bank Park opener on April 6th versus the Cincinnati Reds. Some other things of note here. It looks like, so there is actually a scheduled doubleheader already on your schedule. It is on July 15th against the Padres. The Angels will head to Philly with Ohtani and Trout on August 28th through the 30th of next year. So, Quimby, go ahead and get your batteries ready to throw them at Mike Trout. Yeah, and then you're going to play 7 of your last 10. So even though that they've spread the schedule out more, 7 of your last 10 next season is against the Mets. So if this comes down to a dogfight next year, you're going to have your opportunity to take them out at the end of the year. And they also changed your start time. So this was also in the article. The games, your weeknight games that would normally have been 7:05 p.m. are now going to be 6:40 p.m. That'll be next season. So that's the tidbits on the Phils. Just some, your openers, some other key games of note, and things for you to look forward to for next season. Ohtani and Trout coming in should be fun for everyone, particularly Quimby. I know he's a huge fan of Mike Trout. So, but going on from there. So I'm being told I'm missing something here, and I'm not seeing the comments. So I don't know. I'll keep trying to mess with it, but I'm just going to keep going here for now. Dave, thank you for the text message. Otherwise, I was feeling kind of neglected here, guys. I wasn't seeing anything in my window. I'm like, shit. And it doesn't show me anyone's viewing either. So a little bit weird. What is this here? Yeah, no. I'm going to keep going here. So the other part of the schedule being released and why it's a big deal for me is the fact that when the schedule gets released it becomes almost like another, like kind of a Christmas present for us here in at the unhappy establishment. Um, what we do is we try to look to, you know, what stadiums we want to knock off our list next year. And we had already kind of decided that we wanted to take a family. It used to be the boys and I would just take a baseball trip. Well, we've covered all of the teams that are within driving distance to here. So now it's longer trips. Longer trips, you want to get multiple stadiums, so you got to stay away longer. Well, that becomes kind of unfair to the girls, right? Let me see if I click off of this and then click back on it. I don't know what is going on here, but I can't see anything. I'm going to text Sam here and just see if she's able to help, but I'll keep going. So part of, like I said, we used to just take the trip, just me and the boys. And with us having to go longer, being away longer and, more stadiums and stuff, want to try to tie in the family to some of this stuff too. Now, my daughter has no interest in going to ball games, but um, we can take trips and do family stuff along with it. So what we had decided was we were going to do a trip to Philadelphia and to Washington, D.C. next summer. We're going to split kind of a week to 10 days between those two. Now, granted, we have to drive, so you're figuring a day to drive out and a day to drive back, so shorten it up by the 2 days. But so I start looking immediately at the schedule, and I was killing time at work to see first half and second half of next season schedule when these three teams, and I want to get the Orioles in there too. I had contemplated doing a kind of a quick in trip, just me and the boys for like leave Friday, do what we want to do in Baltimore Saturday, and then come back Sunday. But there is Fort McHenry in Baltimore. I'd like my wife and my daughter there for that. Having some crab cakes on the Inner Harbor is something that they should enjoy too, not just us. So we're going to try to knock out all three stadiums in that week stretch. So there's a couple of different opportunities for that, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. Let me just send this text message to Sam because I am having all kinds of trouble. I cannot see your comments, and we need to get that fixed. Can't see anyone commenting. Confirmed from Lou and Dave that they are there. All right, let's see if she can pop in and help, hopefully. If not, I don't know, it might just be a really short show. So I don't know what is going on here. Yeah, all destination. I don't know. It looks like everything's fine, guys. Everything seems to be okay on my end, but I'm not seeing you guys. So hopefully Sam can jump in and help. But until then, so I looked up, the first half, and we're planning on coming in to Philadelphia and DC, and Baltimore for us is just going to be a one-day thing. Okay, I don't really feel like there's a shit ton we need to see there. So the ideal day in Baltimore, ideally we put Baltimore right in between of a few days in Philly and a few days in DC. That's the perfect storm, right? Get to Fort McHenry when it opens at 8 o'clock in the morning. Do that, go walk out, kind of sit at the, hopefully the weather's nice. It does tend to rain quite a bit there in the armpit of the country. From there, head over to the Babe Ruth Museum. From there, head over to the Babe. There we go. Now I've got comments. I don't know what just happened. Oh, there's Super Sam. She's coming in here. Or maybe she's not. So, but I see all you guys now. I'm sorry that I couldn't see you guys before. So let me get through this and I'll catch back up here for a little. Threw me for a little loop there. Technical difficulties. Haven't experienced much of that here on Wednesday nights. So, Lou, I just see that last one there. We could say all kinds of shit about Adam and he won't know. I know now, damn it, because I can see what you say. But I appreciate the humor. So, Fort McHenry, and then, like lunch on the Inner Harbor, crab cakes on the Inner Harbor, the Babe Ruth Museum, Camden Yards, and out. right? And then head on down to DC or reversed, DC and then head on up to Philly. So there are a number of weeks where I think we can actually pull this off. What I'm going to do is put it into I get real dorky with this stuff. Adam needs it. Thanks, Lou. Sam, do you want me to add you to the stream here or no? I don't know. Yeah, I can see you're there, but there's no picture. There she is. No picture though. Just hey, let's let the light adjust. What did I do wrong where I could not see anyone?
I'm not sure. I'm not positive. I was trying to look at that right now. I literally just came off the beach, so that's why
That's why you look like you're glowing, dear.
Exactly. I'm not sure what you did. It could just have been an internet thing where all of a sudden the internet popped out.
Yeah.
So, but I mean,
because it was like they all just popped in and then you showed up and I'm like,
yeah,
right, yeah. Who was that? Whiskey, yeah.
Or it Whiskey could have been
Foxtrot.
Sam used the force. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I summoned the chat.
I am all for it. I summoned the chat. Yes, I'm over with the chat. The chat is with me.
Yeah, it honestly, it could just be a glitch. I'm going to pop back out. If it happens again, text me and I will figure it out, okay?
I'm sorry to bother you at the beach there. I'm just like, I'm feeling neglected over there.
It's 6 o'clock. It was time to come up anyway. I was up. I just wasn't quite prepared to jump on camera, but we're okay.
Right. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you, Sam.
I will be nearby.
Thank you.
No problem.
Bye. Yes, Mike, I know the show just got 1,000 times better looking, and now it's 1,000 times uglier. I get it. But yeah, well, I'm glad I can finally see everybody's stuff here, but now I'm going to have to scroll back through it all. But so yeah, there's a number of weeks that are going to work both first half and second half. So what I'm going to do is dork out with it, and I'm going to put it in a big Excel file with the dates and everything. And okay, these guys are home these days. And just find a couple of weeks where I can work it out with Sam and with Chris. Keep in mind, I'm going to bring the whole family up. So, I'm not going to be going out partying all night and shit. But we got a lot we want to see. My daughter has never been to Philadelphia. My wife has not been there since she was on drill team years and years ago. So she didn't really get to experience a whole lot of it. So, I mean, we want to see that, I take the kids to see the normal stuff. I think everyone needs to set foot in Independence Hall at least once in their life if you're an American or you care about this country at all. It's only that room is only the most important room in our country's history. Liberty Bell, I get that it's it can be kind of lame or whatever, but it's still the Liberty Bell. My kids weren't born in the Northeast where I could just drive them over there all the time. So this is kind of a once in a in their lifetime type of thing. There's apparently a Shrek box in Philadelphia that my daughter is dying to see. I think she's going to be wildly disappointed, but we're going to give that a shot. Generally speaking, we would have gone and had cheesesteaks at Jim's on South and 4th, but I can't guarantee the kids that place is going to be reopened again. So when it starts to come closer to that trip happening, I am going to pitch it to all of you as a poll question. Where we need to go, what is the place that I got to, and if any of you say Geno's or Pat's, I'm going to mute you automatically. I don't want to hear any Geno's or Pat's. Give me I want to hear when we get close to that or whenever, your favorite cheesesteak place, and we will go. Right. And we're going to be here for a few days. So I might just live on cheesesteaks. I don't get to have them very often, at least not real ones. And so the only way I get real ones is to actually order the rolls from the Amoroso factory there, the Amoroso bakery there, have them shipped out to me. And then I go to a really good meat shop and I have them shave the ribeye for me. And then I grab provolone cheese. That's as close as I can get. Yeah, I know you guys are going to all start naming them now. You're killing me. Oh, F. Geno's, there we go. English on YouTube. F. Geno's and Pat's will give you good direction. Absolutely. That's what I want, man. So when it gets close, that's what we're going to do. Lou, you keep telling me John's roast pork is the shit no matter what sandwich you get. My favorite pork and cheesesteak bar, none. Dude, I'm all in. All right. So D'Alessandro's, I see Russ saying that. Steak and Hoagie in Abington. We're going to hit as many of them as we can. Keep in mind, we got a lot we're going to want to see. And, and we are getting to Citizens Bank Ballpark. That is for sure. I personally, I'm going to Citizens Bank Ballpark, but, I want to see everybody when I'm in town. But I do want to do the ball game with Chris if he's able to. Preferably Chris and his boys. It's baseball. It just, it's father and son. That's just it's about as American as you can get, except for the disgusting guy in the Bronx the other night. Did you see this slob? Did anybody see this guy with the Yankees Mets game? And he's a Yankees fan, so I got to take ownership of this idiot. So he takes a hot dog. He gets a hot dog and a beer. He takes the hot dog out of the bun. He takes a straw. He hollows out the middle of the hot dog. He takes the straw back out. He looks in the hot dog to make sure the hole is there. He puts the hot dog in the beer and drinks his beer with the hot dog straw. That might have been the most vulgar display of just gross that I've ever seen on like somebody filming someone at a ball game. That was absolutely hideous. First of all, who the hell drinks their beer with a straw? Second of all, how disgusting do you have to be to take an actual straw and make a straw out of a hot dog to drink your beer with? I mean, that was just gross. But anyway, so back to the trip, right? Philadelphia, and I'd really like to come to Philly first, and then hit the one day in Baltimore, and then get down to DC. I just think every American, I think you should visit Washington D.C. at least once, and see this stuff. Whether it's important to you to go back later again in life is up to you. But I got to go when I was a kid. I've not been there in a very long time. I know you can't tour the White House, so we can go outside of it or as close as we can get to it, take pictures. And there's a Washington Monument, Lincoln, all the stuff. And then there's all the museums that are actually free you can go to. So I want my kids to experience that. Arlington, the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, just all of it. And then my older brother, his wife, she was messaging me the other day, saying that her brother lives outside of DC, so they would think about coming down to meet us there, and we'd get to spend some family time together too, which would be great. So I right now have, this was the first half stuff that I wrote down, and then here's the second half, and I did that all while I was at work. You would not. It was like a kid in a candy store when I saw that notification come through. That schedule's been released. So we're looking forward to it. David Connett, thank you for being here. Yes, you threw open your mouth a little bit. I'm assuming you're talking. I can't tell, though, because I talked about D.C., and I know you're not the biggest fan of visiting Washington, D.C. So was that about the hot dog or visiting D.C.? Let me see what I have missed here. My God. I wore my Atari shirt. Mike English. I wore my Atari shirt down here in Maryland yesterday. Got to pizza shop, and I got into a 15-minute convo about all the old video games. Hell yeah. I was a fan of Pitfall. That was my favorite one on that. PSU opens at Purdue next Thursday night on Fox. Sure will be a nice tribute. Yes. So I'm guessing this is where I was talking about Len Dawson. English, I'm looking forward to the Penn State opener. I know, a lot of few of the folks that work for the Green Legion do not share the same sentiment. But I am still a Penn State fan. And the reason why I'm a Penn State fan, I don't know if I ever talked about this on here. When I was a kid, I grew up in the Northeast, and as Catholic, I was watching Notre Dame. Now, up in Connecticut, college football was not a huge deal. College basketball, massive. College football, not as much. A lot of people just kind of rooted for Notre Dame because of the whole Catholic tie. So I was watching, and Notre Dame was always on TV. So this is the 80s, and I'm watching Notre Dame. And my Uncle Frank comes, and he says, what are you watching this Irish shit for? And I says, well, it's Notre Dame, Catholic, Unc. He said, you root for Penn State. I said, why? He goes, because Joe Paisan. Okay, no arguing for me. So from there, I just started watching Penn State, and every chance I could get, started rooting for Penn State, and it stuck. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm in no way defending what the hell happened there. I think it's absolutely horrific, as anyone should. But I'm still a Penn State fan. So looking forward to that coming up. I'm just going to try to get my friend Chris to come on here. It's just not his thing. He's really, really sharp. He's a huge Ohio State fan. Really, really sharp with with all the ins and outs of the NCAA, especially with the Big Ten. And you guys all saw the Big Ten sign that big TV deal now. It looks like we're going to end up with just two conferences eventually here, two big power conferences, going to be the SEC and the Big Ten. So, and Big Ten is going to be like the Big 40. So, I watched what do we got here? English again. I watched Sandlot on the beach in Avalon last. It was actually like 65. Next. Okay. Yeah, Keenan. Thank you. Keenan, introvert stepson, joined the Army and was promoted to major a couple of weeks ago. Encourage that kid, Gilmore. And I am. So my oldest, and I ask him periodically what he wants to do. He's a sophomore in high school now. So what do you want to do with your life, buddy? And he doesn't know. Right? He can't really give me an answer. He's not really sure. And the only thing I've told him is, well, look, dude, these next 3 years are going to go by like that. It may not feel like it right now, but it is going to go very, very fast. So you're going to need to figure out what your next step is, because, well, you're going to be an adult and it's time to take that next step. And I've encouraged him that if he can't figure out just a general career path, he doesn't have to look, if you don't want to go to college, don't go to college. I don't want to see anybody go into debt over it. You can always go to a trade school. There's a lot of free programs for that here. But if you can't make up your mind, the military is there to give you, some things to, once you graduate high school. Now, you can't just flounder your way through high school and come through, with all D's and F's and look like a knucklehead, because otherwise they're going to think you're just trying to run there and hide. You still need to put in effort in school and the ASVAB test that he would have to take. But and it might be the best thing for him. Does it scare me a bit that my son may go off to a war? Of course it does. I'm a parent. Would it make me incredibly proud of him for having the guts to go do it? Absolutely. What parent wouldn't be proud of their child? So I just want him to experience the best things that are there for him. I was very much a huge knucklehead at his age, which is where I get really hard on him a lot, because I see some of the things that he's doing and it reminds me of some of the dumb shit I was doing. And that led to me having to take a very windy, broken road just to get the little bit that I do have now. And I want better for my kids, as any parent does. So I get hard on him sometimes, overly hard on him to do better. And it's just because I don't want to see him fail the way I did when I was younger. So, and maybe the military is the best thing for him. I think it might be. Because when he's an adult, he's probably going to need some additional structure that, maybe dad just can't provide for you anymore, bud. You're an adult. You got to go see the world. You got to go live your life. All right. Not mine. I took a road a little less traveled, and I got lucky at a few different turns. But you can't just look at me and say, well, I'll just, if I end up like that, that's fine. No, want better, want more. I want more for you. You should want more for yourself. So, all right, off my soapbox with that. But yeah, I'm hopeful. I'd like to see him go that route. Let's see, what else did I miss here? English. Yes, interleague is definitely overdone. I'd be fine if we had a home and home with one team, but whatever. Yeah, and that's, I'm fine if they rotate the divisions, just like they do with football. That would have been okay too. Dave, spin it however they want. Takes away from an division. Agreed. I think you should play more. I think you should first play a decent number of games in your division and also a decent number of games in your league before we look at the increase to interleague. That's just the way I see it. Call me old, call me crotchety, call me get off my lawn. The old man yells at cloud, whatever. Say whatever you want, but that's the way I see it. So where else are we at here? Lou Dominguez. I don't like it. The goal is to win a division and get a top 2 seed. Agreed. Sounds like we're all on the same page here, guys. And now I can start seeing the comments from when I'm saying, "Hey guys, I don't see you in the room," and you're all, "Hey, we're here." I appreciate you being there and sticking around, even though I wasn't kind of calling you out there. Dominguez, yes, Lou and me, I'll be up for the game at the lake next year. Yep. IT Adam needs an IT guy or gal, and I got an IT gal. Sam, I don't know what Sam had the magic touch, guys. I don't know how else to say it. Not that I'm all that surprised, but she I saw the comments pop up, the number of viewers pop up, and then in the bottom I saw her kind of in the backstage, electronic backstage area here. So whatever she did, it all snapped back. So we're always very grateful for Sam. I think one other time I had some technical difficulties. I went to go come on, and my camera and my microphone were not working. I wasn't getting in. There was no sound and no picture. That was the week that we had just signed Bradbury after he got cut from the Giants. So Quimby was like crawling out of his skin to get that announcement off his chest. So I told him to go ahead and just start the show. And then I would get in as soon as I could. I didn't miss anything, but that was the night when I was telling everybody, the Unhappy Gilmore Show brought to you by DB Cooper and Hidden Valley Ranch. We had Lou on. I think we went for 2.5 hours. It was a mess. That was wild. Russ, you're a Penn State fan. You're like, dude, really? Like, come on. That's a little lame. And a little gross. Russ down here, you want to end that Notre Dame and everyone wanting them to join their conference if everyone stops asking them to be or playing non-conference games with them. Look, I think Notre Dame should be forced into a conference. I think I liked what I heard last year when they were looking at expanding playoffs and things changing, where they were talking about only the top seeds. I think the top 4 could get, but they were going to expand to like 12 teams or something, and only the top 4 could get bye weeks. But in order to get a bye, you had to be a conference champion. That means that Notre Dame could have gone undefeated and only ended up being as high as the 5 seed. And I think I lost everybody again here. I can see comments all the way up through Russ, but that was 7 minutes ago. So we're going to have to text Sam again. Screwed again. A tough night over here. Anyways, so we got some exciting stuff with baseball. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to having that talk with the fam this evening to get that going. We talked about the finally being able to do the outdoor movie night this weekend. Hopefully, Never-Ending Story. Never-Ending Story and Ratatouille, I think, were the 2 at the top of the kids' list. And my oldest doesn't really care. I think he thinks it's a little bit lame. Where, he's going, I just want to kind of go talk to my friends. You got to do stuff with your family too, buddy. So, Tom Brady. Everyone's favorite jerk-off, right? Yeah, see? Sam, as soon as you come in, everything pops back up. I don't know what the hell's going on here. I think she's about to text me. So you're gonna. I don't know what to tell you. You don't have to be sitting there, but just leave yourself here.
I was just about to say that. I'm gonna just leave it on. So
yeah, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know if I have something screwed up in settings or whatever, but I didn't touch a damn thing.
I'll look at it after you're done.
Once I end. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Call it another 10 to 15 minutes. We'll be wrapping it up here. You cool with that?
Yeah, I'm cool. But you missed all of the things I said to you Old
God.
crotchety man.
Old crotch. Why you? What are you like? You're 3 years younger than me. You call me old? Get out of here.
I know that's the time you just had to turn it off and turn it back on again.
I'm saying it now, and F you if you don't like it, Walter Payton. So actually, Lou, you'll like my top 3. Okay, we're gonna get to that in a minute. Thank you again, Sam, and I'm sorry to keep you tied up here with this stuff. Hopefully, we can get it figured out when I'm done here. All right. So we're gonna touch on Sam's favorite person, Tom Brady, here real quick. So he takes a 2-week hiatus, and the answers from Todd Bowles at the time are very cryptic. He'll be back soon, or I talked to him earlier. Whatever, just weird stuff. And then come to find out, he's on a vacation. This will be a short little tidbit here. Keenan, we're going to get to the running backs right when I'm done with this. That's how we're going to close the show tonight, bud. I think this is my opinion, and you guys can go ahead and chime in however you want. And English, I see your comment about Masked Singer. I've seen that everywhere too. My opinion is that when Tom Brady decided to retire, after, earlier in the year, I think Gisele booked that vacation specifically during this time to see if he was legit staying retired. And then he decided to come back. And I'm at training camp, and we got games coming up, and see what happened was I had to do this. And I'm telling you, I think Gisele, who by the way out-earns him by I don't even know how much, grabbed Tom Brady by his collar and said, "Bitch, get on this airplane." That's my opinion. I think Gisele finally said, "Look, you said you were retired. We planned to do things. Now you decide to be wishy-washy and go back. You still have commitments to your family. Get your ass on that airplane. We're taking a break. I don't give a shit what kind of trouble you get into. Let's go." That's my opinion. I've heard all kinds of shit on sports talk radio. Some of it being this right here with the Masked Singer thing. I thought that actually would have been funny, but I don't think that's what I don't know. And maybe it could be. He's cryptic. He might be hiding it, but I think Gisele, that my opinion is Gisele said, "Motherfucker, you are doing this with your family. That's what's happening." Keenan, did he say Brady took a 2 weeks in his anus? Bam! Room is always on fire. I'm disappointed, man. I love interacting with you guys and not being able to see the comments as they're coming through. It bummed me out. Like I'm getting it in bucket. I had to get it in buckets now. So I don't know. Sam and I, after I go off the air here, Sam and I are gonna try to figure out what the hell happened. I really appreciate you guys hanging with me. Even though I just these different times here where I just wasn't responding to you. I try to be very attentive to you guys as best I can. Oh, what do we got here? Gisele be begging Chris Rock. Chris Rock? What, Brady going to go slap him too? So maybe Brady will slap him at the ESPYs instead of the Oscars, right? All right. So got about 10 minutes left, and I want to be respectful of Sam's time too. She's going to help me when I finish up here. So my intent is to finish the show with top 10 running backs of all time. Now, look, I'm not doing this based on stats. So I think there's maybe one number I'm going to throw at you. It's really just based on gut, film, and a lot of things. I'm going to preempt this with telling you now, Bo Jackson is not in my top 10. Okay? And that is simply because he just did not play enough. Not his fault. I get it. He got hurt. And if we were talking about a list of the greatest athletes ever, Bo Jackson would be at the top of that list. Okay? But for these purposes, I'm talking about top 10 NFL running backs, and Bo Jackson doesn't make that list. Now, the reason why I wanted to do this, why I teased it last week, which is something I hadn't done to this point with this show, is because I keep seeing this freaking thing pop up where they're listed. And it could be, some of it's satire and everything, and I get it, but it annoys me when I start reading the comments and people start, and there's all these idiots agreeing with it. They keep showing Emmitt Smith in the top 5. Some of them have him number 1, some of them have him number 2, 3. Somewhere in the top 5 is Emmitt Smith. And I don't think he belongs there. I don't give a flying shit that he's the all-time leading rusher. I don't. If you'd have put any of these other guys I'm about to mention, if you'd have put them, any one of them, on that team that Emmitt was on, none of them would have had to go hang on in Arizona to break a record. They would have shattered it to a million pieces playing on that Cowboys team. So I'm not saying Emmitt Smith wasn't an all-time great back. What I'm saying is he's not as great as everyone wants to make him to be. He was a he was a great running back on an all-time great team that did most of its damage pre-salary cap era. So you could hang on to that whole offensive line, that defense, the quarterback, the receivers, everything. Okay? So that's what I'm there's your rant for the week, y'all. That like to see me rant. There it is right there. Tired of Emmitt Smith. I know I've got buddies out there that are Cowboy fans. They're going to be pissed off about it. I don't care. Matter of fact, one of the guys in my top 10 is another Dallas Cowboys running back who I think was better than Emmitt. And we'll get to that. But, so, I think we had Lou chime in saying that Lou Mancini, we'll bring it up again here. Lou Mancini watching on YouTube. I'm saying it now, and F you if you don't like it, Walter Payton. I have absolutely no problem with that. I go Barry Sanders. A lot of that is because I got to see Barry's whole career from when I was a kid. I was very young when he first came in. Well, not very. I mean, it was young. I was very young when he first came in the league, and then into my kind of late teens, almost 20 years old when he walked away. I got to see his whole career, and he was amazing. Okay? To me, there is an upper echelon when you look at this. And you can put so numbers 1, 2, and 3, I don't care what order you put them in, but I believe these 3 are in an upper echelon, and then everyone else starts at 4 when you start talking about the top 10. I believe that it's Barry Sanders, Walter Payton, and Jim Brown are in that upper echelon. And like I said, I put them there because I don't think you can make a case against any of them being considered the best ever. There's only cases for each one to be the best ever. Right? I guess you could say Barry didn't catch a whole lot of passes out of the backfield, but how much of that was just the offense he was in? Right? If he's in that Dallas Cowboys offense, they threw the ball to the back a lot. Sweetness caught a lot of balls. Jim Brown was bigger than the defensive lineman back then. To me, it starts with those 3. Rank them 1, 2, and 3 in any order you want. Personally, I'd go Sanders, Sweetness, Brown. That's the way I would see it. Barry, to me, was the greatest just pure runner that ever lived. That man ran around. He was just unbelievable. Barry Sanders, Walter Payton. So we got here. So here's David Connick's top 10. And Dave and I have talked about this a lot. We see a lot eye to eye on a bunch of this. I have some differences, but he goes Barry Sanders, Walter Payton, Jim Brown, just like me. Then he goes Marshall Faulk, Eric Dickerson, O.J. Simpson, Tony Dorsett, Emmitt Smith, Adrian Peterson, and Marcus Allen. So he's got Emmitt Smith at 8. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have Emmitt Smith at 8. My top 10 differs a little bit. After the top 3, okay? Keenan, there you go. Yeah, nobody blocked for Brown. Nobody needed to block for Brown. I mean, he was different. Luis Dominguez, got to put Thurman Thomas in there. He was an absolute nightmare. Speaking of nightmares, he also had the Nigerian nightmare, Christian Okoye. To me, neither of those 2 guys are in my top 10. And don't get me wrong, it's not because I think either of them stink. It's just that the list I have, it's got to separate themselves a little bit. So, like I said, top 3: Sanders, Sweetness, Brown. I go Dickerson at 4. Okay, that's my thing. I think Eric Dickerson. I mean, you were talking about a 6'3" running back. That, my God, I mean, just go back and watch film on some of these dudes. Yeah, the one thing. So back to Barry Sanders, and the one number I am going to throw at you. So he played 10 years, I think it was, Barry Sanders. He was 1,457 yards away from breaking Walter Payton's record when he walked away from the game. If you look at Barry's stats, that was basically one more year. And he was only like 30 when he walked away. So if he plays to 35, he would have set a record that none of these guys would sniff. He'd have broken Peyton's record that following season or been within a couple of yards of it, shattered it the following year, and continued to tack on to that for another few years and would have put himself completely out of reach. Now, today's game, the way it's played, where it's pass happy, nobody's really within reach of Emmitt anyways, but at the time, he didn't know that's what was going to happen. Lou over here. Sanders had more negative yardage and still did what he did and walked away early. His father said he was good during an in-game interview and said Barry was good, but he's no Jim Brown. Yeah, right. Thanks, Dad. Appreciate you. Number 1 fan. Smoke up, Johnny. Dave, I get it. Can't stand Emmitt, but his stats put him in the top 10. We'll get there. So Dickerson is 4th for me. 5th. LaDainian Tomlinson. Okay. There was nothing that man couldn't do. 6th, I go Marshall Faulk. He was kind of cracking. I mean, I think Roger Craig and Thurman Thomas were kind of your guys that were starting to be that all-purpose. And then, Faulk comes along and he was amazing. Tomlinson on his heels. After Marshall Faulk, I've got Adrian Peterson. Underrated, and probably the guy that looked most similar to Sweetness. Running style, size, he kind of fit that mold. After that is Tony Dorsett. There's your Cowboys running back, who I have ahead of Emmitt Smith. I think Tony Dorsett was a much more talented running back than Emmitt Smith. And I think if Tony Dorsett plays on the Cowboys at the time that Emmitt Smith did, Tony Dorsett is another one. I'm telling you, any of these guys on that team, which is why it cheapens Emmitt for me. After Dorsett, I put Earl Campbell, who was just a bowling ball coming down the field. And then 10th, Dave, Emmitt Smith. That's where I put Emmitt Smith. I put him 10th. I don't agree with him being number 1. I don't agree with him being top 5. I have him 10th. I respect, look, I know based on his totals and his numbers that he's got to be there. I understand it. He just doesn't need to be as high as everyone likes to put him. Every single one of those running backs that I mentioned, my top 9 ahead of Emmitt would have broken that record and set a record, an untouchable record, had they played on that Cowboys team. I think English just backed up what I said before. Yeah, Emmitt went to Arizona to keep it going through that knob. Exactly. None of those other guys would have had to go to Arizona to hang on and to break a record. Oh, what do we got here? A Fito Mata sighting. Roger Craig. Roger Craig was a damn good running back, dude. Doesn't make my top 10. All right. Like Roger Craig a lot. Fito and I, Fito does a live stream with a co-ed softball league in Bridgeport, Connecticut, a league I used to play in years ago. He is now, I believe, the president of it. I want to get his official title with that. But I was commenting on his live stream, and he was interacting with me, much the way that we're doing here. And, we talked about him coming on. He says he's got some things he wants to talk about. Fito's been incredibly busy with work, and then his side thing there where he kind of runs that league now, which is really cool. So we're all very proud of Fito and happy for him. And I know he wants to keep trying to turn Whiskey Hill into a brand. And brother, like I said, I'm 1099. Beat me up, Scotty. We're all for it. Dave, as a Niners fan, Fito, Craig was inconsistent to me and put the ball on the turf too much when it mattered. This is also fair. Fito, Dave, you're both Niners fans. So you got that going for you. Anybody else with the top 10? So Dave put up his entire top 10. Does anybody else want to go ahead and chime in with that? So Dave, if you notice, Dave and I were very, very similar. He's got Falk a little higher than I did. I did not have OJ Simpson in there. And I could make a case OJ should be 10th on my list, and Emmitt should drop right out of the top 10. I didn't do that because I do think that Emmitt has to be somewhere in that mix. He's got Marcus Allen in there. I do not. I liked Campbell a little better. Although Marcus Allen had a real knack for finding the end zone. What do you got here? There you go. Fito, red and gold till I'm dead and cold. Oh boy. Well, that might be sooner rather than later. I don't know. You're going to put all your eggs in that Trey Lance basket. We'll see what happens. So, guys, I apologize again for the technical guys and girls. I apologize for the technical difficulties. I didn't get to interact with all of you as much as I normally do every week. That upsets me. Hopefully, Sam will help me get that worked out so we don't have this trouble next week. And so she doesn't have to take time out of her busy schedule to keep fixing the Unhappy Gilmore show here. Lou, what do we got over here? Emmitt was very likable. He didn't do that showboating shit like Zeke. I hate Zeke. I hate Zeke too. Lou, I'll tell you now, Zeke, you could not do yourself as a football player in my eyes. He went to Ohio State and then gets drafted by Dallas. I could not possibly hate him as a player any more than I already did. And then he's a total punk on top of it. So I'm with you, man. Dave Conner, where was Ricky Waters on your list? Yeah. Lou Mancini, Gale Sayers was pretty damn good. Yep. Some of those comment threads, I saw some people listing Gale Sayers in there too. You can make a case for that. Ultimately, when it came to that 10th spot, to me, the top 9, I really never doubted myself. I mean, maybe you could switch a couple of them around. Maybe maybe Peterson should hop up behind Dickerson, whatever. But be that as it may. So again, I'm sorry I didn't get to interact with you. So I know, right, Kean? Shit. Get your shit together, Gilmore, and pay Sam her consulting fees. I'm not paying for a damn thing. But I will try to get my shit together. So, English, Keenan, Lou, Dave, Lou Dominguez, Fito. Good to see you back here. I haven't seen you in a couple of weeks here. So I'll make sure I don't miss anybody here. Good Lord, I miss so much stuff. Sam, of course, Sam. Always thank you for always chiming in and helping me out here. Russ. Am I missing anybody? Missy dropped in with the hot dog, right? Idiot at the Yankees game. God. There's all the cheesesteak places. Man, I hope we can get this fixed for next week because this was really a bummer to miss out on everything you guys got going on here. But Bryant chimed in too. So, guys, I appreciate you hanging with me. I am so sorry about the technical difficulties. We'll get it straightened out, and I will be more interactive next week. But this has been the Unhappy Gilmore show for this week. And I hope I was, even though not interacting with you as much, I hope it was still at least a little entertaining. I did give you a rant about Emmitt Smith. I'm very excited about the baseball schedule coming out. If you're not already following me on Facebook, find me, follow me. And I usually post some off-the-wall stuff. A lot of memes on the weekends to make you laugh. So try to get some pictures up of the outdoor thing this weekend, provided my kids stay healthy for once. with school year coming back in. Oh, and the next cook-off, I think we're looking at October, and we are going to do like soups or chowders or bisque or something like that. Chili's out. We're not including that in there, so we're just not picking anything out of the hat this time. We're just gonna pick something, make sure we're not doing the same thing, and roll with it. Anyways, for all of us here at the Unhappy Brigade, to all of you out there, thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for chiming in as you do every week. I can't tell you how much I appreciate the support. Please continue to support. As always, like, listen, share, subscribe to the Green Legion on YouTube, and tell all of your friends. This is the Unhappy Gilmore Show, powered by Green Legion, and I will see you next Wednesday. All right, guys. One of these weeks, I'm going to do something about that god awful music. Hold me to it, will you? We'll see you next week. Thank you again.